I'm Heather Staines. I'm one of the Charleston Conference directors, and I'm a senior consultant for Delta Think, and I'm very excited to be here for the first ever Charleston Asia. Woo! So thank you for joining. We will be hearing, if we're at time now, we'll be hearing in just a few seconds from Clarivate. And they have told me they will also be here for the entire conference in the exhibit hall. So if you don't get time to ask a question here, you will have time in a moment to do that through the rest of the conference. So I'm going to hand over to our speaker and we will get started.
A very warm welcome and good morning to all of you from Team Clarivate. Today we are going to talk about academic AI in action. And before I start talking about what Clarivate does and what we are up to, I would like to talk a little bit about what you all are saying. A lot of the work that we do at Clarivate is deeply rooted in what we hear from the customers. What are the challenges they are facing and what are the pain points they are experiencing? And in line with that, we run a Pulse of the Library survey in 2025. Now, this is a second year in row because we did the similar survey in 2024 as well. And this survey was done on a very big client base. There were over 2,000 respondents, and that covered about 109 countries. And if you talk about the profile of the respondents, then 77% of those were academic libraries, and then 23% from public and national libraries. And though a majority of the respondents come from US, we had a very fair representation from Asia and Europe as well. Here is a QR code based on which you can download more details about the survey. But what I would like to point your attention is that this is very insightful. And we have a full session dedicated to it where one of my colleagues, Mr. Oren, who is the Senior Vice President for Strategy and Innovation, he will be talking about it in greater detail on Wednesday at 10:30 at Riverside 5. So please make it to the venue if you want to hear more. But just to touch upon few key points from the survey, what we see people responding is that there is a steady increase in the adoption of AI, but still the approach is very cautious because the librarians want to be aware of security concern, privacy concern, the AI literacy, and if the benefits really outweigh the risk associated with it. And at the same time, if I talk about what are some of the key concerns, then AI literacy seems to top the chart, followed by the budget. But one thing which is very important is everyone recognizes that upskilling is very, very important. And even though the formal structured trainings are not very frequent, but that is one thing which librarians think is going to be a game changer when it comes to adoption of AI in the libraries. If I talk about the regional divides, the survey showed that, surprisingly, Asia is much ahead of our counterparts in US. And Europe is also ahead of US. In terms of some of the key things which we also found is that there is a very, very strong correlation in the optimism that libraries see with the benefits of AI and the adoption of it and the implementation of it. Okay, now switching to what Clarivate is up to. Here we will cover the information in two broad parts. One is where we are embedding AI into our solutions. And the second part is where we are connecting to AI. But I'll talk about the second part a bit later. Let's first look into what Clarivate is doing with respect to AI and our solutions. So you would see here, most of our work is geared towards providing the user experience and workflow efficiency, wherein we are embedding AI into our existing products, as well as launching new products. So when I say embedding AI into existing products, you all are very familiar with products like Web of Science, we have ProQuest platform, and we have workflow solutions. So we are embedding research assistants into all of these existing products to ensure that the users are engaging with the content in a much more efficient manner. So if you talk about products like WebOScience, ProQuest, and when I say ProQuest, I'm not just restricted to ProQuest information solutions, but I'm also talking about ProQuest ebook platform. If I talk about on the discovery side, then Primo and Saman, as well as if I talk about new products. So we are not limiting our AI into including assistants in the existing product. We are also launching new products. And I would like to highlight here that these new products are also rooted into what the clients are telling us. So for example, one of the key challenge which the clients brought to us was that the comprehension of students is falling because they don't want to read anymore. They just want to use chat GPT for asking questions, getting the answer, and that's how they complete their assignment. We heard the challenge that you all were bringing to us, and we innovated a new product, Alethea, which is something which helps, including AI, to focus on reading comprehension. And the early adopters are saying that it has 85% plus increase in the comprehension noticed by the students and faculty. Similarly, if I talk about the use cases, right? So we are not stopping by including the AI research assistant and the typical use case, tell me, summarize this, no. What we are focusing on is very, very specific use cases, and we are leading the world of agentic AI with that. So if I talk about WebOScience, for example, there are 3 broad agentic AI which are already in action. So we have the literature review agent, we have Find a Journal, we have Topic Explorer, and that's not where we are stopping, because we are also launching new product, WebOScience Research Intelligence, which will come up with a wave of new agentic AI. So whether you're looking for collaborators, whether you're looking for funding opportunities, there'll be dedicated agentic AI focusing on each of these use cases. We had an opportunity to look at some of the stats from user engagement, right? Everyone is launching AI, but what kind of results are those leading to? So we analyzed the data coming from the usage of the research assistant on ProQuest platform. Now this was launched in September, so we have had few months of usage. And in terms of the customer adoption, so these stats that you see are based on a subscriber base or usage base of about 4,000 plus institutions. And when you talk about what do the librarians and the university management wants, I'm sure all of you agree that you would want better usage of your products, you would want better ROI from the usage of your product, you would want the students and researchers to come back to the content and grasp more, right? And that is precisely what the stats show. So there is 85% of the feedback on the research assistant shows that there is increased satisfaction. 31% of the users are likely to continue scrolling. 40% are more likely to cite and download than without the use of research assistant. And more importantly, 70% are more likely to return multiple times a month. And 76% are more likely to use the documents. These are all in the positive direction. Okay, so I don't want to restrict our talk today to slides. So let me show you something in real action. What I would like to draw your attention to is WebOScience, right? Now here, if I talk about research assistant, let me go to the home page. I talked about how there are different, give me a minute, please. Okay. So this is, so I'm already logged in, and if you can see here, there are 3 boxes that you see on the top. These are the 3 different agentic AIs. The first one focuses on exploring a particular topic. The middle one helps you do literature review. And the last one does help you find a journal. And as many of you would agree, these are typically the use cases which really helps make the researcher workflow very, very efficient. These are also typically some of the challenges that early stage career researchers also grapple with. And the whole point of introducing these particular guided workflow is to make the researcher more efficient. So let's look at literature review. Okay, so let's focus on creating a detailed literature review on impact of increasing greenhouse gases on climate change. And I just hit enter. So the AI would come to action, and it doesn't, straight away start giving you the answer because it wants to understand what the researcher mindset is. Is the researcher wanting to focus on a particular subtopic or a niche topic within this broad area? So it is trying to understand, are there any specific subtopics that the researcher would like to consider? And here the researcher did not even need to prompt because the AI did the part and already identified what are some of the subtopics associated with this broader topic. Now, as a researcher, either you can choose one of these or you can specify your own topic. But for simplicity, let me just say that I'm more interested in the global temperature rise. So I just select the second topic, and then you would see that the AI again comes into action and it gives me the search strategy. Now here, either I can go through the search strategy that AI created, refine it, or I could continue to just proceed with it. So let me just proceed here. It will confirm the time frame. So you see that the AI is, not just giving answers. It is trying to understand and refine the search parameters based on what the researcher is looking for. And here you see, so now it has started giving me the response for the literature review. Now here, if you see, each of the lines in the response will have a proper reference that the researcher can go and read further into. And if you further scroll down, you would see that it is not only giving a literature review, but it is also helping the researcher identify what are the gaps in current research on this topic. It can also help the researcher identify what are some of the potential hypotheses that he or she can further focus on for their research. And then comes the references. So let me switch back to the presentation now. Okay, so I think we have covered what we wanted to talk a little bit about the new features that we have included in our products. Now, of course, in a 15-minute presentation, it is not possible to cover everything, but please come down to our booth. We are happy to engage further with you and show you more insights. But what I now want to draw your attention is something even more exciting that we just launched earlier this week. So it is about connecting to AI. Now, I would find it very, very difficult to find a person who would say that students are not going and using ChatGPT, right? All of us would agree, irrespective of how much we try not to or highlight the associated risk and potential hallucination and other concerns, everyone will use it. I use it, you use it, right? Now, as academia community, we want to ensure that our researchers engage in responsible research, right? Now, when we talk about responsible research, the trusted content is a very, very strong foundation of that responsible research. And if the student would not come to the library, we at times have to take the library and trusted content to them, right? So we all know that the academic work is now starting in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and even Google, right? So that's where we have to take our library and trusted content to. So Project Nexus is our attempt in that direction. What we are trying to do is that we are trying to let the student use the interfaces of ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever they want to use, but ensure that we connect the library's trusted content to that, leading to better ROI, leading to peace of mind, because they will be focusing on trusted content. So with Project Nexus, that's precisely what we are trying to do. And if you look here, so this is a ChatGPT window. And you can see here, I think the pointer is not working.
Just call it out, I'll point.
Okay, so if you look on the screenshot, then there is a particular search that the student would have run, and he got a ChatGPT response. Now, Project Nexus is basically a browser extension, right, which the researcher just needs to install. And what it will do is, even though the student is searching in the ChatGPT, what it will do is it will go through the response, it will identify all the sources, and it will start linking it to the library resources. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, then you would see that of all the sources that were cited in the ChatGPT response, 3 were found to be scholarly, 2 were found to be not scholarly, as well as there will be some particular references which the Project Nexus would mark as questionable. Now, questionable because these were either non-peer-reviewed sources, or perhaps because this was not a scholarly content. It might have been a newspaper article, it could have been a magazine article, or things of that nature. And in those cases, you can also find verified alternatives where it will go back, search in your library, subscribed resources, and give you an alternate answer. Similarly, on the right-hand side, it will give you all the sources that were found, and then you can click further on it. Okay. And additionally, it does not stop there. It will also give you not only the responses which were, the sources which were there in the answer, but you could also see here, we have the related scholarly sources. So what Project Nexus also does is it will take the original prompt from the user, and then it will search against the CDI, and it will give you a list of verified sources which actually focus on the same topic. So with this, you don't need to really redirect the student to the library, because he or she is still continuing to do their search on ChatGPT. But with just this simple browser extension, you have been able to connect their responses to a credible source of information. And wherever the sources are not credible, that is clearly highlighted. So the student or the researcher will also be very careful if they are using the right kind of material in their responses or not. And I'm very happy to inform you that this is something which we are making available at no cost to our subscribers. And all you need to do is just download it and install it. Okay, so just the final slide to close out on the discussion. Earlier, when I talked about the pulse of the library survey, there was something around AI literacy, right? And AI literacy is something which is very, very strongly correlated to the adoption of AI in libraries. And while we all are aware of some of the other basics or fundamentals of AI, but what Clarivate has done in collaboration with Choice is created a small 8-week course where you have a complete framework of important topics related to AI. So you can scan this particular QR code to get access to it. This not only explains the topic in simple language, but it also includes real world case studies, which will help you put or connect the practical applications with the theories. So that's it from my side. We are here for question and answers in case there are any.
Yeah, we have about 1 minute. If you have a quick question, we've got one over here by the, she's fast.